FIA steward Johnny Herbert has insisted that he is entitled to an opinion after Jos Verstappen aired concerns that F1's governing body risks having the appearance of a conflict of interest. Meanwhile, Martin Brundle believes Lando Norris will change his view of Max Verstappen getting slightly lucky during the Brazilian Grand Prix, as the Red Bull driver was in a class of one on Sunday. Additionally, what Damon Hill said about Max Verstappen after critic silencing Brazil GP win. Welcome. FIA steward Johnny Herbert has responded to recent remarks by Jos Verstappen, father of F1 star Max Verstappen, who suggested that certain stewards risk creating the appearance of a conflict of interest. This follows the Mexican Grand Prix, where Max received a rare 20-second penalty after two incidents involving McLaren's Lando Norris. Herbert, who is part of the four-man stewards panel in Mexico, defended his impartiality, asserting that his personal opinions do not affect his official duties. Herbert, a former F1 driver and television pundit, countered Verstappen Sr.'s claims, clarifying that his role as a steward remains separate from his personal commentary. As I have always said, I am Johnny Herbert the steward and the professional during a race weekend, and Johnny Herbert a pundit at other times who expresses what he thinks, Herbert explained. He emphasized that he does not share his opinions while on duty, and that his experience on the racetrack gives him the authority to critique decisions or driver actions when he's outside the steward's room. The tension began after Jos Verstappen suggested certain stewards may harbor biases that could influence their decisions, citing Herbert and Tim Meyer, son of the late McLaren co-founder Teddy Meyer, as examples. The FIA should take a good look at the staffing of the stewards, who they put there, and whether there is no appearance of a conflict of interest, Verstappen Sr. remarked, adding that some stewards don't like Max anyway. Herbert dismissed these claims, stating, "Is there any bias? No, of course not. I wasn't the only one to think that Max was over the top in Mexico. Lando Norris and Zach Brown thought so too." Herbert also pointed out the parallels between Jos's outspoken stance on Red Bull's team management and his own right to hold opinions as a former F1 professional. "If you have an opinion and you want to make it, then you can," he remarked, stressing that he applies the same critical standards to all drivers. Max Verstappen, meanwhile, made headlines with an impressive victory at the Brazilian Grand Prix, starting from 17th on the grid and finishing first. With a 62-point lead over Norris and 3 races left in the season, Verstappen appears poised to secure his 4th consecutive world championship. The season will resume in Las Vegas, where Verstappen's potential title win will be the main focus, though scrutiny over F1 stewarding processes and debates over conflicts of interest remain in the spotlight. Meanwhile, following Max Verstappen's remarkable victory from 17th on the grid in wet conditions at the Brazilian Grand Prix, former F1 driver and commentator Martin Brundle has suggested that Lando Norris may rethink his initial assessment that Verstappen's win was a result of luck. Brundle hailed Verstappen's performance as a classic drive, asserting that the Red Bull driver's skill was the defining factor. Norris had initially attributed Verstappen's success to good fortune, particularly due to the red flag timing that allowed Verstappen a free pit stop to change tires without losing track position. This came after Norris, who had started from pole, pitted for intermediates just before the red flag was waved. As a result, Verstappen, who remained on track, gained an advantage when racing resumed, eventually overtaking Esteban Ocon to take the lead and secure the win by 19 seconds. Brundle defended Verstappen's strategic patience, noting that the Dutchman's decision to stay out was a calculated one, anticipating a potential safety car or red flag. Max got unlucky with the red flag in qualifying, but he stayed out on track in the race and expected a safety car or a red flag situation, Brundle explained. He knew what to do, and then he just steamed off and won by 19 seconds at a canter, really. Norris, meanwhile, has softened his stance since the race, posting a congratulatory "nice drive" mate on Verstappen's celebratory Instagram post. Brundle believes Norris will see Verstappen's drive as a masterclass upon rewatching, especially given Verstappen's dominance in challenging conditions. Max was in a class of one. Those conditions suit his talent level, Brundle said, adding that while McLaren had shown pace in wet qualifying, they didn't hold the same advantage in the race. Looking ahead, Brundle sees this race as a chance for Norris to focus on long-term growth rather than immediate rivalry. "I think if Norris starts focusing on one team or driver or the other, that's a lot of wasted energy," Brundle noted, encouraging Norris to direct his efforts toward a full championship challenge next season. With cars reaching their developmental peaks, Brundle expects 2025 to be a season for the ages, where anything else will just be a distraction for Norris. With this win, Verstappen has further solidified his lead in the championship, now 62 points ahead of Norris as the season heads to the final 3 rounds. Only 3 races remain before Verstappen can clinch his 4th consecutive title, and Brundle's remarks suggest that Verstappen's skill and consistency are pushing him toward yet another historic season. On the other hand, just a week after critiquing Max Verstappen's aggressive defensive tactics in Mexico City, former Formula One world champion Damon Hill offered high praise for the Red Bull driver's performance at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Verstappen's impressive victory from 17th on the grid at a rain-soaked Interlagos left Hill declaring it absolutely one of his very best drives, applauding the Dutchman for his skill and composure in difficult conditions. In the previous race in Mexico, Hill had likened Verstappen's defensive moves against Lando Norris to Dick Dastardly stuff, referencing the notorious Wacky Races character known for his underhanded tactics. When Verstappen was asked about Hill's remarks ahead of the Brazil race, he shrugged off the comment. But his on-track response at Interlagos came in the form of a masterful performance, which Hill acknowledged as a display of true racing brilliance. Verstappen's rise through the field in Brazil was swift. By the end of the first lap, he was already within the points, overtaking drivers with precision as he climbed through the pack. A mid-race red flag allowed Verstappen a free tire change, maintaining his position near the front. At the restart, he quickly passed Alpine's Esteban Ocon to take the lead and extended his advantage, crossing the finish line with a 19-second gap. Speaking alongside Red Bull team principal Christian Horner on Sky Sports F1, Hill emphasized his admiration for Verstappen's drive, noting, "That's one of those drives we sort of projected at the beginning, that maybe this would be the day when he could show everyone his brilliance, and he's absolutely done that today. What a transformation from this morning qualifying." In response, Horner jokingly interjected, "I think we're going to have to get that on record that Damon said something nice." The 1996 world champion clarified his stance after his critique in Mexico, insisting he never questioned Verstappen's skill. "I've never said he's not a great driver. There's absolutely no way," Hill continued. "He did that completely cleanly. He swiped through the field and showed everyone why he is such a brilliant driver, and going to be 4 times world champion." With his win in Brazil, Verstappen has taken a commanding 62-point lead in the championship standings with only 3 races left. Hill's recognition of Verstappen's clean, determined performance underscores the level of skill and maturity that has propelled the Dutchman to the verge of his 4th consecutive title, which could be sealed at the upcoming Las Vegas Grand Prix.